time for some player options, Ross.
Yep. And,
we have gone through so many things making your character, but we forgot to establish the most important thing.
our species.
So let's do that.
By again, Valda Spire Secrets.
Approved or not?
Yeah, approved or not. Check it out. Link in the description. Again, not sponsored.
All right. So the first one, Ross, the first one that comes up here hits me with a odd twinge of nostalgia for some reason. So let's see if A, I would let you, and B, if it would make sense for you to remake that old character with a race that actually is worth a damn.
For those who don't know, watch the Dragon City campaign.
We used a very, very bad homebrew, or someone used a very bad homebrew race. Actually, they chose it. I didn't push it on them.
Yeah, no. Full disclosure, I saw it, thought it would be funny.
Yeah.
So basically, we're living toys. We're playing as a toy.
I think, considering they're called Gepettins, I believe. Yeah, it's literally a quote from Pinocchio here. So it's safe to bet we're puppets.
Yeah, for the most part. Which there are multiple options. I have them listed out.
Yeah, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
So, bisque traits. Bisques are a form of porcelain dolls crafted with an extractive and luxurious clothing materials. Though they are designed to look as realistic as possible, they are certainly the most terrifying of Geppettin due to their lifeless visage. Though their faces are often very fragile, their construction is generally much harder than their brethren. Hey, this is good for my own unique setting that I've been working on that isn't really a D&D setting. Just a kind of I explained the concept in Mutants and Masterminds campaign we did.
Yeah.
But we get
ability score improvements.
By 2, or this is the standard ones. We can ignore it.
Yep.
These are all going to be standard. Our size is small.
Yep.
Both of it also affect us, which I know. Walk speed 30. Dark vision 60. Immune to non-magical diseases. You don't need to eat or breathe, but you can ingest food and drink if you wish. 4-hour trance, basically.
Yep.
While you are motionless, you are essentially an ordinary porcelain doll. Whenever you deal damage to a creature with a weapon attack, roll on your first turn in combat. The creature takes extra damage equal to your proficiency bonus. You get proficiency intimidation skills and have advantage on intimidation rolls you make against a creature that hasn't previously seen you move.
I find that last one very in character, because I think of Chucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
But also, I look at that first part with the immune to non-magical disease, and
what it basically means is
I know there's wow, Eve.
Oh, Eve.
Anyway, I know you have like contagion and whatnot, which that's a magical disease. But how
the big magical disease honestly is lycanthropy and vampirism.
Oh, is that considered magical?
Yes, very much so. Non-magical. I'm gonna be so sorry to break this to you, Ross. In D&D, non-magical covers a very small selection of diseases.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think
none of them are meant to be a big deal.
Paladin and Monk don't even have that stipulation. They just immune to regular disease, right?
Correct. Yes.
So, but I mean, as a player option, sure, it's not to all diseases, but
yeah,
fine. Although diseases don't come up that often.
More often than you think. I will tell you this, as a DM, I never say you have a disease. I will usually just explain what it is that's affecting you and how it works.
Right. That's.
But let's move on. This is approved, by the way.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it. I think
all right.
that you deal a little extra damage and are better intimidating people that haven't seen
but small or medium.
Yep.
30 feet, dark vision. Construct enemy, the same thing. False appearance. When you make an attack with a melee weapon that lacks the two-handed property of turn, the weapon gains the reach property if it didn't already have it. I'm gonna mute Eve. I'm going to just
mute her.
Get server mute.
Anyway.
Right. When you make an attack with a melee weapon that lacks the two-handed property on your turn, the weapon gains the reach property if it didn't already have it.
Okay.
And proficiency in performance and advantage on performance checks made to dance.
That makes sense for Marionette, but also the two-handed so weapon that lacks a two-handed property. So I'm thinking
Mhm.
stuff like rapier. Does the longsword have the two-handed property? I know it's the
It
versatile
does
property.
not. It has versatile. Versatile is, yeah. This could be pretty good.
Right,
Honestly, this could be pretty good.
they can be pretty fun.
It honestly, this is a weaker version of Bugbear, is what it is.
Yeah.
With that in mind, this is approved. Our next one, I have only one thought with this one. I have one thought.
Uh.
The character you make with this is going to run a daycare into the ground. The plushie.
The plushie. So ability scores, yada yada. Constructs that
Creature type,
we're
same
small.
thing. Size is small.
Dark vision is small.
Dark vision.
All
We
this
get
is the same
this.
thing.
Yeah, the new thing here is
Adorable.
adorable. You gain the persuasion skill and advantage on. Yep. Stuff with love. When you take bludgeoning damage, you can use a reaction to gain resistance to the damage, and you're also knocked away 5 feet.
From the source, you can't use this reaction if you have been knocked away from the. Wait.
Source of the damage.
Wait.
Oh, that's interesting.
Wait, you can't use this reaction
if you can't be knocked away from the source of the damage.
So like if I'm like, let's say we're in a scenario where an enemy basically has me cornered, I can't technically use this and go away from it by like
Ross.
Oh, what?
It's time for our favorite game. It is time for Busted or Crap. Raw versus Rye edition.
Busted or Crap.
Yeah, I didn't expect we were pulling this one out today, I'm going to be honest.
Because well, it has to be from that last ability, because, I mean, the persuasion.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I will just let you know right now, it's this.
Which, I will say this.
Hmm?
Even though it is only bludgeoning, it's like only one of the 3 melee attacks, bludgeoning does come up a lot. That, and I think it's like slashing and bludgeoning are like the 2 top damages of the 3.
I mean, anything that bites is piercing, though.
Right. Anyway, so, okay. So use your action to gain resistance to the damage. Nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
You're also knocked 5 feet away from the source if the damage, of the source of the damage, which could be from your ally. Your monk could hit you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Although that would only be for 1 attack. Or, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay, Peeps, I think I know what you are saying. And well, you could use the reaction for fall damage.
What? No.
Oh, is that not what you're thinking?
No. You could definitely not use the reaction for fall damage.
It only says when you take.
Ross. How would you be knocked 5 feet away from fall damage?
Going back up 5 feet.
And then what would happen? You just take the fall damage again.
Well, no, it's only 5 feet.
No. The point is no. You can't. I'm gonna be honest. You can't. The answer is you can't.
I would argue you can, but that's not the way you're talking about. So it's not that. So 5 feet away from the source, you can't use this reaction if you cannot be knocked away from the source of damage. I'm trying to think of what would exactly break this, because I'm looking at this like, I mean, I would say it's strong for the fact that there's no limited uses of it, but I mean, it's
you know I pulled out Raw versus Rye here, Ross. So
right, I know. I'm just trying to think of like I'm not seeing exactly what.
I will give you a clue, Ross. You almost, while going to a different direction, tripped over the answer.
So it's when you take bludgeoning damage, you can use your action to gain resistance to damage. You're also knocked 5 feet away. So it's something to do with the knockback specifically.
It is not. No.
Oh no.
Nope. I'm going to give you a major clue, Ross. You said, and I quote, but it would only be for that attack.
Oh, is it the fact that it doesn't say resistance to that attack or resistance to that source of damage?
Correct.
Okay. I think
There's
we
a
know what the
reason,
rules
Ross.
intended
I mean,
are.
to be clear, Ross. To be clear, when I bring out Raw versus Rye, you know that whatever I found is bullshit.
Right.
It's there's no way they meant that type of bullshit. Actually, never mind. This is weird. This is a weird one. This is worded so weirdly. I actually think I read it wrong. Because it says you get resistance to damage, not you get resistance to bludgeoning damage. So I think I'm actually wrong here. I think I'm wrong here.
Actually, you pointing that out gives you a good. That's a good point because let's say our monk punches us and they have a magic item that there was a magic item that Dill had. He wasn't a monk, but that let him his unarmed strikes potentially do extra force damage. That it just says resistance to the damage, not specifically bludgeoning. So this is
It says when you take bludgeoning damage.
That's when you could trigger the reaction. But then you gain
Well,
resistance
that's
to the
Ross.
damage.
Ross. Well, that's true. Okay, Ross. Here's the issue. The damage must refer to the bludgeoning damage you take. If it does not, we have a whole other version of Rye versus Raw here.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, either way, how
These
often
two must
bludgeoning with combined with another damage type.
Carrying on. My point in all this is, yeah, I misread it. I misread it, which is on me. So
what part of it?
I am
misreading. So like I understand
damage. The resistance to the damage. I misread
okay.
this.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Approved.
Approved. By the way, approved.
Yeah. Now we have the Mandrake. Now I'm gonna say this right now.
Mm-hmm.
The 2024 version that's on D&D Beyond, I was considering like changing a feature on it. So I wonder if they have it in this book.
Let's take a look.
So ability scores.
But from what? Here we go. Ability scores. Yep.
Speed.
You're humanoid. However, that affect plants affect you. You're medium. Speed 30 feet. Even though you are not fully a plant, you still possess many of the same traits as long as you are in direct sunlight for at least 4 hours a day. You don't need to eat. Additionally, you can breathe through your leaves and extremities, and you can absorb water and nutrients through your feet.
Which, by the way, I would never play a Mandrake in Out of the Abyss right now.
You got persuasion checks. Oh yeah, well technically you're fine because you can just eat.
That's true.
Root magic. You know the Shillelagh cantrip and can target yourself with a spell, treating one of your limbs as a club for the duration of the spell.
Which that's cool.
You get Goodberry. Without requiring to go starting at 5th level, you can cast the Barkskin spell with this trait, and without requiring to go once you cast Goodberry or Barkskin, you can't cast the spell again until you finish a long rest. You can also cast either of those spells using any spells that you have the appropriate level. You pick Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma for your spellcasting abilities. Pick the one that you like best.
Yep, basically standard stuff for spells.
You can use your most action to cause grasping weeds and vines spread from around a large or smaller creature within 30 feet. Until the end of the creature's next turn, it becomes 0 and can't increase. The effect ends early if the creature takes a disengage action. You can use the trait number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you must regain bennies when you finish a long rest. And it gains it's different based on the feeding in which you were harvested. Choose when you select the race. Spring, airborne creatures within 30 feet of the ground are pulled safely. You entangle vines can move up to and your entangling vines can target takes cold damage equal to.
So do you know what caused me to be like, ooh, yeah, no, at least not the way how it's currently written.
Interesting that they know that they prefer the word ancestry, but you're using races because it's consistent with terminology in the old book.
Right.
That being said, it's the lack of save throw, right?
It is the lack of save. I know it's a lack of save as well as. Now, of course, an enemy doesn't have to disengage. They can always attack the creature if it's next to them, but it's completely the lack of save.
Yeah, no, yeah, that is absolutely need to save. That's too strong without a save.
I think that's literally like I told that to Ethan immediately. Like, yeah, no.
If I remember right, we were discussing strength or dex for it.
I mean, I think it's
Yeah,
strength because entangle.
I say strength, but we're going to move on. This is approved with that change.
Yep, approved. Added strength.
We now get mouse folks.
Save. Actually, what should the strength save be based on? Just whatever you pick for your other feature.
Yeah. We'll do that. We'll do it that way. All right. So mouse folks.
You chose for what's the ability called that you get the shillelagh and whatnot?
It is called root magic.
Root magic.
It's just called root magic.
Yeah, no. I at the very least, you and I are in agreement that yeah, no save on that. Yeah, no.
Let's carry on though, because we got more to look at.
Which I was impressed with too.
Yep, standard, small, 30, dark vision. I don't think anything on there has not had light, footed, pristine stealth. You can move the base of any hostile creature or difficult terrain.
Okay.
That's actually really big. You suffer no penalty for squeezing through a space that is only large enough for a creature that is one size smaller than you.
Okay.
Mouse folks belong to a lineage of mouselings and rat. You choose one of the following options.
So
when a creature you can see makes an opportunity attack against you, you can use reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack roll, but you can't do it wearing medium or heavy armor. You can use your action to chew through and break a small non-magical object that isn't being worn or carried like a rope or a wooden rod or handle or a length of fabric. If you chew on a wooden wall or floor for 1 minute, you can now hold larger for a tiny creature. You can't chew creatures that are harder than your teeth, such as metal, stone, or crystal.
So we could choose one of these options?
Yes.
Um,
This is fine. These are fine.
Yeah, no, nothing's like screaming out like, oh.
I will be honest. If not for this tiny creature stipulation, that last ability would be horrible. But it has that, so we're good.
Yeah.
We get Spirit Host.
We get, from what I see from the image, ghost people, basically.
All right. So we get our this. Human power plus effect. Undead also affect you as well.
They really like that.
Except for effect that burn undead.
I mean, hey, that means that your cleric isn't going to screw you over.
Medium, 30. While you are on the material plane, you can see 120 feet in the ethereal plane.
Oh, just passively?
I don't like that. Don't like that as a racial trait. Ghost you float gently to the ground at the end of the fall when you aren't incapacitated, practicing from the distance you fall when calculating your. I don't like that either. That takes like how many levels of monk to get this?
6, and you could stack it with monk. So
no, actually you couldn't. Oh wait, yes you could. So I'm wrong. You could.
I think for every monk level you get, it's like 10 feet. I think.
Anyway, so let's move on.
Drop from 260 feet would be fine.
You can move through other creatures that stay within the terrain. You can move through solid objects, but your partial material form can't pass through more than 1 foot of stone. What if you enter your room occupying? No. You can cast Speak with the Dead. When you cast, you can ask the corpse a number of questions equal to your original ones. You can't cast spell with it against official long range. You can also cast. Isn't one person using your podcasting?
So for most of the game, that's gonna be neutered down because isn't Speak of Dead is 5 questions, right?
Correct. I think that's the idea. Here's the issue.
By level 17 and up, you get 6, but also, how often are you asking a question to a corpse at that point?
Shoot arrows at your monks, Ross. Shoot arrows at your monks.
Exactly.
But that being said, it's a moot point, Ross, because
another game time.
No, there's no game here.
Oh.
No. Absolutely not. Meaning, the only thing I could allow for this race is 1 feature, which I'm not going to do, because that's stupid. So unfortunately for us, Ross, Spirit Host is very much banned at my table.
That's fine. I'm sure if someone really wanted to play a ghost-like character, I'm sure we could probably come up with something more balanced.
Like Reborn.
I mean, that's just undead
Well,
characters.
I was gonna
But
say, that's more undead. I'm talking more
but
like
I will say I have been thinking of reflavoring a Reborn as a ghost for a TFC character. So, 100% reasonable.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and
no.
even though there
it
is
is.
one more option, that's actually gonna be in the next video because
We're going to look at it later because,
there are
well,
I'm
number one, it's not technically another racial option.
and two,
It's
It's
a
a
big
lot.
one.
oh, if you're not looking at the screen, yeah, no, we're covering this in the next episode.
All right. So,
Thank you guys. Final notes on races?
no. I mean, they were all fine. They were kind of all boringly samey, though. To be honest.
I mean,
But they were all fine, except for Spirit House, which is.
They're fun.
I can't help it. Everything else was good. The Spirit House is, like, ridiculous.
Yeah, no, what was that one race? There was a race that we looked at that was sort of not spirit based, but it was more like they
We look at
got sucked
so-
into a void, and
We
they got
Are
they had,
you
like the
sure?
The
prison cell.
disembodied. The disembodied.
Yes, that's the one. And
Anyways,
I feel
we're
like
going to call here.
yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. As
We will
always,
see you soon.
Bye bye.